Hello, Army. Welcome back to K Heart Channel. Army was left completely stunned after Kim Taehyung and Jungkook suddenly returned to Korea much earlier than anyone expected. For days, social media has been flooded with theories, speculation, and countless questions about what really happened behind the scenes. Why did they leave so suddenly? Was this decision planned from the beginning, or did something unexpected force them to change their schedule? Now, new details are finally starting to emerge, and the reason has sparked intense reactions across the fandom. Some fans say everything suddenly makes sense, while others still can't believe what they're hearing. Before jumping to conclusions, there are several important clues that many people completely missed. Stay until the end, because the full story behind Taehyung and Jungkook's unexpected return to Korea may be very different from what ARMY originally thought. The moment Kim Taehyung and Jungkook were spotted returning to Korea earlier than expected, the internet immediately exploded with questions. Fans who had been closely following every update from Las Vegas suddenly found themselves trying to piece together a mystery that nobody saw coming. Their unexpected departure sparked countless discussions across social media, with many wondering whether there was a hidden reason behind the sudden change of plans. At first, very little information was available. Airport photos and brief sightings only fueled even more curiosity. Some fans believed it could be related to a private schedule, while others suspected that an important commitment in Korea required their immediate attention. The lack of official explanations only made the situation more intriguing, and every new detail quickly became a topic of debate among ARMY around the world. What made the situation even more interesting was the timing. Everything appeared normal just days before their departure. There were no obvious signs that Kim Taehyung and Jungkook would be leaving earlier than expected. Because of this, many fans started revisiting previous videos, photos, and public appearances, searching for clues they might have overlooked. Every interaction, every schedule update, and every small detail suddenly became part of a much larger conversation. As speculation continued to grow, several theories began gaining attention. Some believed the decision had been planned long before fans realized it. Others argued that something changed behind the scenes at the last minute. With no immediate clarification available, the mystery only became deeper. The more people talked about it, the more questions seemed to appear. Then, new information started circulating among fans, creating an entirely new wave of discussion. While not everyone agreed on the interpretation, many felt that the pieces of the puzzle were finally beginning to fit together. Certain details that had previously seemed unimportant suddenly looked much more significant when viewed in a different context. Fans who had initially dismissed them were now taking a second look. What surprised many people was how quickly opinions began to change. Some who were convinced they already knew the answer started reconsidering their assumptions. Others became even more curious as new perspectives emerged. The conversation shifted from simple speculation to a much broader effort to understand what may have really happened behind the scenes. Meanwhile, the intense public interest highlighted just how closely fans follow Kim Taehyung and Jungkook's activities. Even a single unexpected schedule change was enough to capture worldwide attention. Every update generated thousands of reactions, and every possible clue was examined in extraordinary detail. The mystery surrounding their return became one of the most discussed topics among fans during that period. Yet despite all the theories and discussions, one important question remained unanswered. Was the reason actually as dramatic as many people believed, or was there a much simpler explanation hidden behind all the speculation? Sometimes the truth turns out to be very different from what people imagine, and that possibility kept fans watching closely for any new information. As more details gradually emerged, many ARMY members realized that the story might not be as straightforward as it first appeared. Certain assumptions began to fall apart, while other possibilities suddenly seemed far more likely. The deeper people looked into the timeline, the more complicated the situation appeared to become. And that is exactly why the discussion surrounding Kim Taehyung and Jungkook's sudden return to Korea continues to attract so much attention. Even now, fans are still connecting the dots, comparing information, and trying to determine what really happened behind the scenes. The answer may finally be closer than ever, but there are still several details that continue to leave people questioning whether the full story has truly been revealed, As the days passed after Kim Taehyung and Jungkook's unexpected return to Korea, the curiosity surrounding their sudden departure only continued to grow. What initially seemed like a simple travel update quickly transformed into one of the most discussed topics among fans. Everywhere people looked, the same questions kept appearing. Why did they leave earlier than expected? What happened behind the scenes? And most importantly, was there a reason that fans had not yet discovered? The situation became even more intriguing because of how little information was available at the beginning. Normally, major schedule changes involving globally recognized artists generate at least some form of clarification. This time, however, fans were left trying to understand the situation through scattered observations, airport appearances, and small details that seemed insignificant on their own, but potentially meaningful when combined together. Almost immediately, social media became filled with theories. Some believed the decision was connected to future projects that required Kim Taehyung and Jungkook to return sooner than originally planned. Others speculated that there were personal commitments waiting for them in Korea. A few even suggested that their departure had been scheduled from the start and that fans simply misunderstood the timeline. The truth was that nobody outside their official team appeared to have a complete picture of what was happening. This uncertainty created the perfect environment for speculation. Every photo, every fan account, and every reported sighting became part of a much larger puzzle. As fans analyzed the timeline more closely, they began noticing details that had received very little attention at first. Certain moments that seemed ordinary suddenly became subjects of intense discussion. People started comparing dates, reviewing previous updates, and searching for anything that might explain why Kim Taehyung and Jungkook's travel plans unfolded the way they did. The more fans investigated, the more divided opinions became. Some argued that there was no mystery at all, and that schedule adjustments happen regularly. Others felt convinced that something important had occurred behind the scenes. Neither side could fully prove their position, which only made the debate even more active. What made everything particularly interesting was how quickly assumptions began changing. A theory that seemed convincing one day could be completely challenged by new information the next. Fans who felt certain about their conclusions often found themselves reconsidering after another detail emerged. Meanwhile, media coverage and online discussions continued drawing attention to the story. The interest was not necessarily driven by confirmed facts, but rather by the unanswered questions surrounding the situation. People naturally wanted explanations, and until those explanations appeared, speculation filled the gap. Then came another development that caught many people off guard. Several observers pointed out that certain events occurring around the same period might have provided important context. While these observations did not directly answer every question, they encouraged fans to look at the situation from a different perspective. Suddenly, some of the earlier theories appeared less convincing, while other possibilities seemed much more reasonable. This shift in perspective created an entirely new wave of discussion. Instead of focusing solely on the moment Kim Taehyung and Jungkook returned to Korea, fans began examining what happened before their departure. They looked at previous schedules, public appearances, and activities that occurred in the days leading up to their flight. Many believed that the answer could only be found by understanding the bigger picture rather than focusing on a single event. As more people joined the conversation, one thing became increasingly clear: there was still a crucial piece of the puzzle missing. No matter how many theories circulated online, there remained important questions that nobody could answer with complete confidence. Certain details fit together perfectly, while others seemed to contradict the most popular explanations. The result was a mystery that refused to disappear. Some fans began suggesting that the real reason might actually be much simpler than everyone expected. History has shown that fans can sometimes create complex theories around situations that ultimately have ordinary explanations. However, others argued that several unusual circumstances surrounding the timeline made the story impossible to ignore. The debate continued growing. Every new discussion generated more curiosity. Every attempt to explain the situation seemed to create additional questions. Even fans who originally had little interest in the topic found themselves drawn into the mystery as more information surfaced. What fascinated many observers was not only the unexpected return itself, but also the reaction it generated. The level of attention demonstrated how deeply fans care about every aspect of Kim Taehyung and Jungkook's activities. A simple travel decision had evolved into a worldwide conversation involving millions of people. Yet despite all the discussions, theories, and investigations, the central question remained remarkably difficult to answer. Was the reason behind their early return something significant that fans had overlooked? Was it connected to future plans that had not yet been revealed? Or was the entire mystery built upon assumptions that never reflected reality in the first place? The answer may seem closer now than it did at the beginning, but many fans believe there are still details waiting to be uncovered. Until a complete explanation emerges, the story of Kim Taehyung and Jungkook's sudden return to Korea will continue fueling discussions across the fandom. And as more clues begin to surface, many ARMY members are starting to wonder whether the most important part of the story has yet to be revealed. The deeper they look into the timeline, the more they realize that what appeared to be a simple departure may actually lead to a much bigger explanation than anyone originally imagined. The mystery surrounding Kim Taehyung and Jungkook's sudden return to Korea continued to dominate conversations among fans long after the initial airport photos began circulating online. What should have been a routine travel update somehow evolved into a story filled with unanswered questions, conflicting theories, and growing curiosity. The more people discussed it, the more it felt like there was still something missing from the picture. In the beginning, most fans simply assumed that the early return was connected to scheduling. After all, artists frequently travel between countries, and plans can change without warning. However, what made this situation different was the reaction it generated almost immediately. Instead of accepting the change as normal, many fans felt there were details that did not fully add up. Part of the reason was timing. Only a short time earlier, Kim Taehyung and Jungkook appeared to be enjoying their activities without any obvious signs that an unexpected departure was approaching. Public appearances, interactions, and updates gave the impression that everything was proceeding according to plan. Then suddenly, reports emerged that they were heading back to Korea sooner than many expected. That abrupt shift was enough to spark widespread speculation. Within hours, social media platforms were flooded with discussions. Fans from different countries began sharing screenshots, timelines, observations, and theories. Some attempted to reconstruct every movement leading up to the departure. Others focused on statements and details that they believed might contain hidden clues.